Dr. Bill Deagle. Bill is with us, well, every week, every Tuesday. Hello, Bill. How are you? I understand you've got a lot of stuff on the plate tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Much is happening. It's getting crazier all the time.
Yeah, it's almost like we're following the white rabbit down the rabbit hole. And as it was said in the Lewis Carroll story, it is getting curiouser and curiouser.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
well, I guess that's the twisted logic of the words. I guess we might as well start off with the biggest, baddest thing that's going on that people are still ignoring. I call it the lame brain media and the paralyzed and impotent public.
I agree, but I disagree. I don't think the media is lame brain. I think, well, let me go with you on that. They're lame brain by design. By
dictum. Of course.
They're following orders. They're supposed to be the purveyors of lies and disinformation, and they're actually mind control agents, unwitting, but that's
exactly.
what they are.
So, in other words, what you're saying is actually they act like the Keystone Cops and the Groucho Brothers, but they're actually evil designs are covered with comic and relief and stupidity.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree. Which is really twisted. In other words, they don't even show respect. One of the funniest things I've seen, which is so bizarre and makes me angry, is the latest campaign. I don't want to hear about this one. They try to compare. When they're trying to teach people about radiation, they compared one of the agencies that was hired, tried to compare radiation to an angry Japanese wife.
I saw it.
I couldn't believe I said. What? So they dropped this controversial campaign aimed at educating women about nuclear safety that compared radiation to the screaming voice of an angry wife.
It's disgusting.
It's
totally disgusting.
This is really, what it is it's actually trying to degrade humanity, trying to dumb us down, trying to make us seem like we're conspiracy theorists, where if we don't put a smiley face on, the radiation will get you. And it's only patriotic in Japan if you spread the radiation around. So, as I said before, you use Fukushima way to wipe away the smile off your face that your little place of Japan isn't quite as radioactive as the other parts.
Well, we remember in the beginning that what happened was there were actually some of the little urban and small metropolitan areas which were northwest, which didn't get hit so hard, northwest and west, and they were starting to say there's not much radiation here. Radioactive readings are minimal, there's no problem, or non-existent, and the government didn't like that. So then it became the obligation, the honor of every city in Japan to take its share of radioactive waste and burn it in its municipal incinerators.
Well, it's not just a crime of the Japanese. We need to file suits in the International Court of Justice against Japan and the NODA government. They need to know that we in America are sitting literally in the firing line of it's like a bunch of kids next door trying to play with high explosives. The problem is they're playing around with high explosives big enough they'll throw rocks through our front window or may hit us in our bed. And so it's not like, okay, you can do your stuff over there as long as you don't bother us. No, it's going to bother us.
It already has. It's right here.
Yeah,
exactly. You don't eat tuna, you don't eat sushi, you don't eat nori, unless you want trouble. And look at all the people. Come on. Last March, the radioactive particles, the hot particles, covered most of this country to one degree or another. It wasn't uniform. But even the people who study this say that Arnie Gunderson was the mouthpiece for it. The average Seattle resident was inhaling 6 hot particles a day at the height of the contamination, any one of which is potentially fatal. And no one's talking about this.
No, but by the way, here's the positive side of this, and it's things that people can take, like our radiation protection kit. And I tell people they need to have a radiation detector. If they go on our website and go to SCMF, they get a good radiation detector. The latest and best one is called the Inspector EXP. It has a little radiation arm, which is even more threatening if you walk into the fish market or your vegetable store or wherever, and you just decide to kind of scan things. You can whip out this arm, and you can put it on audio, and it goes, and it starts making all kinds of noises.
Oh, you plug it into the inspector?
At the top of the inspector.
Oh, so it's an add-on. It's an accessory.
It's a new advanced version. It's just an add-on. You can get the add-on separately if you want to, and you even get software, by the way, to download it. And what we need to do is start recording more data because the government's not going to do anything. The big, as I say, we had another election today, of course, which indicates that Obama.
Another what?
Another selection, I call it.
Aha, yes.
Not an election, it's a selection.
I know.
Anyway, I was going through some of the news articles you have, and I checked out some myself, and I couldn't believe this picture. I saw this young lady, resident Numayu, I guess, that put a blog up, and they actually took it down because she's so, her mouth, her teeth are falling out.
Well, it's back up again.
Yeah, I know it's back up. This is an example. Even mayors of, a female mayor of one of the towns over there kind of comes out, and it's like, the men have more cojones than these so-called Japanese. I mean, the women have more cojones than the men. What's going on where the women are protesting it because they have enough more humanity and are more concerned about the future than these so-called macho Japanese men? What's the problem? How can people mouth? I saw the mealy mouth kind of twisted, I'm telling you a lie, but I want to look like I'm really being honest. Look, we've got reactor cooling pool level, and everything is fine. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is like the Titanic, and there's about 2 inches of air above his head, and he's stuck in a bulkhead, and he's still trying to breathe with a straw. He's telling us everything's going to be fine.
It's not going to be fine. No, it's not going to be fine. And I'm sorry for people who are in denial about this. I think the problem is contained in Japan. We've spent the last year trying to tell people about ocean currents, about weather systems, and about readings, those that we can get. And they are all absolutely conclusive that we have been pasted, and it's in the pine needles all up and down the West Coast. It's in the forests. It's in the soil. You see Berkeley measured. It's in the milk. It's in the vegetables. No, but we're not being affected. Don't worry. It's not enough to really do any harm. Well, the words bioaccumulation mean anything to anybody? Let me ask all of you to please look in headlines at Rense.com. The sixth story down, Bill just referred to. Fukushima resident, new site shows radiation poisoning. I want you to look at this young woman, attractive woman in Japan. Look what's happened to her teeth. Please look at the pictures. This is no joke. Look at her skin. This is what radiation does
burns
to human beings.
Now, let me go through some technical things for those out there that don't understand what the timeline of what's going to happen. And I'm going to cover things that probably no one else, including some of your experts on the show, have covered. And there's a number of possible, very nasty possibilities that are going to happen. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and which sequence. The first thing, we're getting a constant release of radiation, and then we're getting what I call burps, which is why Alexander Higgins' site reported a month ago, almost 3 weeks ago, that there was a radiation release, and everybody was emailing and panicking, oh my gosh, there's a big radiation cloud heading over here. No, the cloud was released 6 weeks earlier. They didn't report it through the channels of the media until finally he got the data and posted it up from a Japanese site. I think it was ENE News. In fact, it was probably around the early to middle of April. So there's going to be repeated burps. Now, and then I'm going to get into a different realm of information here. I'm going to call this the timeline. And the timeline is based on 3 groups of information. The first group of information, which is the most important, is it's based on, how can I say it, intuitive knowledge that transcends the scientific. And that's probably the most important. It's almost like an animal knowing its time, because you can sense the P wave of a giant earthquake and tsunami coming. So you're in the top of the coconut tree, or you're heading up to the side of the mountain while everybody else is going out to the shore to see the fish flopping around before the tsunami hits. The dogs, the elephants, any wild animals, any animal that had 2 clues was gone and was not on the beach. Okay? So that's the first group. The second bit of information is technical. I have contacts within the Nuclear Regulatory Commission and other scientists I've been in communication with literally daily. And the third group of information is my own background. I have a background in nuclear physics, radiation toxicology, and I know what this stuff does. And it's more scary than anybody out there can even imagine. And we're not exaggerating. So here's the timeline. The first thing that's likely to happen is we have multiple problems in different reactors. Reactor 2, the temperatures are going up. They're saying the gauges aren't working, but they are.
But the funny thing about the gauges is when they fluctuate, they all fluctuate together.
In the same direction. Yeah, exactly. We also don't know where the hell aquarium is, and they don't want to tell us, even if they did know. They're not bringing equipment even half a mile away to look to see if the aquarium's like 60 feet, a half a mile down. Who knows where the hell it is? We also don't have them testing even a mile away, because they actually could go in a big circle around the area and see if there's what I call, as I predict, steam tubes coming out of the Fukushima Daiichi plant area that are heading out to the ocean. There's no ground-penetrating radar at the bottom of the ocean floor where they could drag it along the ocean floor. There's nothing a mile away looking to see, gee, are there steam tubes going 10, 20, 30 kilometers away from it? Or in some of those steam tubes, are they actually connecting with the rail system and the subway system in northern Tokyo? Nah, that's not important. Who cares if when they breathe air down in Tokyo and millions of commuters suck in air and these trains are acting like giant plungers pushing air back and forth, and people with the radiation detectors on YouTube have already shown it like, oh my gosh, look at this. And the Japanese people are some of the smartest people on earth. They're looking, oh my God, look. And the numbers go, dut, 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 and think, these people know something really bad's happening. The problem is, it's the part of their culture to stay silent. But I think underneath it, they're boiling angry. So here's what I think is going to happen. We have 1,535 fuelless MB rods in cooling pool 4. These are the technical things that are going to fail. The seal is the most vulnerable. That seal just gets old from neutron annealing. The metals are breaking down, turning into what I call a flaky pry crust. And the building, the actual steel, the wall is blown off and it's bulging. So all you need to do, you don't even need a zirconium fire, which could also happen. You just need to have those fuel assemblies get hot enough. They're going to have a massive, mind-boggling release of radiation that'll make Chernobyl seem like a garden party of 3-year-olds. And that radiation cloud is going to come toward not only northern Japan, to us, all over North America, and it'll catch these high-altitude jet streams and go to the southern hemisphere as well. It's going to outdo Chernobyl by thousands of times. And that's only one of the first, most nasty bursts that's going to happen since March 11th. This one is going to cause panic on a global scale, and I believe by midsummer, mid-July, this event will probably happen. It will push the final straw on the European economy back to crash the world economy. That's what I think is going to happen.